Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. And I want to say Shalom to all Kanakwat out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. This one's titled Babylonian Wine, Third Gender, and I spelt it ambiguously, all right, if I'm using that word correctly, for a reason. Because, I don't want YouTube's little rhythm of the algo to pick it up, all right? And I have to say that backwards as well, because they're always constantly, our videos are always constantly under surveillance. So, Babylonian Wine, Gender, right, in Puerto Rico. And this is something I've had saved a little bit in my saved stuff from Reddit. And today I decided I was going through it. I didn't really know what to make a lesson on, so I said, let's just go ahead and do it that way. So, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. And I'm going to go ahead and read it. This is from AP News. It says, Puerto Rico federal court allows X as a third gender choice on birth certificates. All right. So, apparently, X is now a gender. And they keep on using this X everywhere. All right. So, let's read a little bit about it. It says, San Juan, Puerto Rico, activists on Monday celebrated a decision by Puerto Rico's federal district court to allow... How many of these words am I going to really say? Let me see. Fuck it, I'll say it. If they have an issue with it, they have an issue with it. I'm literally just reading the article. So we shouldn't have to be oppressed to the point where we can't even say certain words. So I'm gonna just say it. San Juan, Puerto Rico, activists on Monday celebrated a decision on Puerto Rico's federal district court to allow non-binary and gender non-conforming people to update their birth certificates. It says the ruling comes after a group of 6 non-binary people, filed a lawsuit against Puerto Rico's governor, its health secretary, and other officials. And they call that the vocal minority. 6 people should have never been able to pull some type of strings like that, right? That's only a small group of people. And we want to be able to choose a different gender on it. No, man. And it just shows you that society is just, it's done. It's not failing. It's not failing. Failing means it's in the process. Society's done. All right? There's no recovering from it. There's no going back. Okay? Once you got people thinking they can be dogs and cats and that they don't have no gender, you dumbass motherfucker. How can you have no gender? How can you have no gender? You're not a goddamn fucking sea animal. All right, certain animals have really. There's not even an animal that doesn't have no gender. There's hermaphrodites, right? A hermaphrodite is both male and female. All right, and you have that sometimes in, I think not starfish. I think seahorses are hermaphrodites, I believe, to an extent, and certain sea slugs, I believe, are hermaphrodites. Right? They possess both male and female sex organs, and they can use them interchangeably. But that's not something that generally happens in the human world. Now, there are human people that are considered hermaphrodites. That's usually a genetic mutation as far as, they might have a vagina and a penis, but usually one is not the same. Usually it's like if they have a penis, it's overly small, or they have a sort of vagina, but it's not really a full opening. And they've already proved, because people try to say, what about hermaphrodites? Well, they usually only possess one reproductive function, all right? They can either produce semen, which would make them male, all right? Or they have a uterus, which would make them female, all right? Usually, because in hermaphrodites and humans, they can't produce semen and have a working uterus, okay? That's not how it works. You can look that up. Okay, that's not something that works, or else they'd be able to bust off on themselves and have some type of baby of their own, and that wouldn't make any sense, right? That wouldn't make any sense at all. How would you be able to do that? So they only have one working sex organ, okay? And usually one of the other ones stunted, like I say. If they have a penis that's working, usually the vagina is not even like fully open like that, or if they have a vagina, the penis is like super small or something like that, right? You can look that up. And you say, well, why do you know those things? Well, because if people if you got to learn and understand these things and research things like this, because people, that's one of the first arguments people will try to say. All right, when male and female, and the Lord created them, male and female created he them. All right, they'll say, oh, what about hermaphrodites? What about them? Okay, first of all, that's a genetic mutation. It's like being born without some toes, or born with your hand fused to your stomach. Yeah, it happens, but it's definitely not the normal, and that's a form of judgment, right? So there's no people that are no gender. I don't have any gender. Well, what are you then? Right? What are even flowers have genders, right? So, learn it about back in the day. I used to be a big pothead. You know that cannabis has male and they have female. And the female, all right, that's where you get the weed from. That's the one that has the bud. That's the one that gets you high. The male plants, that's just hemp, really. All right? There's not really any intoxicating effect, hardly any THC. You get a little bit of CBD from it, all right? And that's where you get the seeds from, right? Because the male carries the seed, just like in humans. The male carries the seed, okay? So this is all just Babylonian wine that's drifted into other countries and other nations, right? And there's scriptures about that as we're going to grab. It says the ruling comes after a group of 6 people. I'll say 6 one more time because I know I said, oh, you said it 3 times. Well, now I've said it 4. Non-binary people filed a lawsuit against Puerto Rico's governor, its health secretary, and other officials. Just retarded. Apparently, Puerto Rico's in a bad state where it's just a pushover. All right, really easy to be pushed over. It says the ruling means that non-binary and gender non-conforming people will now be able to select X as their gender marker on their birth certificates. Now it says gender non-conforming. I don't conform to a gender. Okay, well, we don't. At the end of the day, we don't give a shit what you do or don't conform to. All right, I can conform. I can non-conform. I can be a non-conformist to the fact that grass is green most of the time. Doesn't change the fact that grass is fucking green. All right, you can be a gender non-conformist. It doesn't stop the fact that gender is a thing. All right, and it is a thing. You are either male or female, and you can be a man and say you're female, and you can be a female and say you're a man, or you can be male or female and say that you're nothing. But guess what? When you die, all right, if there was theoretically 1,000 years left, which there's not. All right, because we're almost out of here. If you go back 1,000 years ago and you died, then guess what? Scientists these days would be able to know who you are, right? Because of your bones. Well, that doesn't mean what my gender is. That just means my sex. Those are separate. All right, no, they're not. All right, they're original. And now the new science is saying that they're separate, but there's still a separate entity of science, as it once was, that's saying no. Gender and sex are of the same. All right, your gender determines your sex, okay? Or your sex determines your gender, right? So if you're a female, you have vagina. If you're a man, you have a penis. This is stuff you usually learn when you're, 5 or 6 years old, right? So, kids ask questions or different types of things, right? So, and you tell them, oh, well, you can stand up because, you have the ability to do that, all right? Kids riding crazy through the lot. But yeah, dumbasses. Anyway, but yeah, that's the type of stuff that little kids be taught, because you don't give them the full birds and bees until they're, later, around that age of, maturity. But, they know at a young age, they should know at a young age that, boys and girls are different. Okay? Boys and girls are different. So, you might have kids ask that, why can I run around without a shirt on, but my sister can't? Right? And really, little boys should be running around without their shirt on either, right? But in this society, it is a more sexualized thing for a girl, a lady, a woman, any age to be running around with their shirt off. Now, when they're a real young toddler, that's different. But like a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old, that's a little bit different if there's a female, running around outside with her shirt off compared to a boy, and he shouldn't be doing it either. Right? He shouldn't be doing it either, because it's still a form of nakedness and that the Bible does not permit. Okay? But it's a little bit different in this society. Okay? So that's something you guys, we're different. Right? We're different. Okay? But they don't want to teach the differences between male and female anymore. All right? We're all the same. We're all equal. Even though it's known that men are naturally stronger. Okay? So, but they'll try to make up their little, I've heard it say, well, if men are so strong, we'll take a random man off the street and put him up against a UFC or an MMA fighter female and see if they can win if they're so strong. That's retarded. Okay? That's retarded because, yeah, the average man's not going to be able to take out someone who is super trained, all right, and strength trained, all right? But will they have a better shot at taking that woman down than a woman that's not trained? Absolutely, all right? But you try to say stuff like that. How about this? How about you take a UFC trained man and put him up against that UFC trained woman and see who wins? See who fucking wins. Try that one, all right? An equal playing field, so to speak, right? So, or put an average man against an average woman. The man's going to win all the time, all right? And it's because of gender. It's not equal, all right? That's not how, we're equal. No, we're not, okay? No, we're not. We're not, all right? So you can't choose your gender. You can't choose that, oh, I don't feel like I'm a man. I don't want to do it anymore. No, that's not how it works, okay? And your body will never recover from that, even if you go and get that surgery. Okay? You got to take pills for the rest of your life. If you go and chop your rod off, all right, and have it try to turn into a box, you have to take pills because your body naturally thinks that that's a wound that has to, continually heal. All right? It can get infected, and it's constantly trying to heal. I was watching something. It was a documentary, I believe, about detransitioners. All right? And I'm going to give you a gross fact, all right, that they were talking about on that. You have to basically put like a dildo, all right, and sorry for the vulgarity, up inside yourself if you go and get that done for a certain amount of period and hours per day, or else the shit will literally close shut because it's a wound. You chopped your shit off, man. It's done. That's it, all right? It's trying to heal because it's an open wound. You got to take all these probably antibiotics and all the shit so it doesn't get infected and all. Yeah, man. You can't have that. You can't have that. So, no, you're either male or female. Not a man who thinks he's a female, not a female who thinks they're a man, or not some weirdo named fucking Silver, all right, that thinks they're no one, all right? I'm no gender. Whatever you say. And they always got some funny-ass weird fucking name, right, that don't even mean something. My name's Akastas. I'm like, what is that? It's named after a dragon in this anime I watch. I'm like, of course, you need to stop watching that shit. It's fucking with your head. It says, meanwhile, Governor Jennifer, all right, Gonzalez Colon told reporters that she was awaiting recommendations from Puerto Rico's Justice Department regarding the ruling. The ruling comes from more than 7 years after the U.S. Look at this. Look. Babylonian wine. The ruling comes more than 7 years after a U.S. federal court ordered Puerto Rico's government to allow transgender people to change their gender on birth certificates following a lawsuit if they so wished. Hey, Puerto Rico, you got to do it. You got to do it because you're a U.S. territory. And if you don't do it, we can sue you. We can get a lawsuit. How about that? All right? We can fuck you up. You're ordered to do it. So, Babylonian control, man. Babylonian control, right? So that's been read. We can go and get our first scripture. All right, and this is just a shorter lesson today. But this is Revelation 18:3, as you can see. And it says, we'll start from verse 1, because it's great. I love this. Like I said, that's why it's in my name. All right. Revelation 18:1, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Right here. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Let's go back up to 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. There you go. So all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So it goes to show you, right, that all nations have been Babylonianized. Okay, not just Babylon. All right, the United States. No, Canada, of course, has been Babylonianized, being so close. Mexico's been Babylonianized. All of South America, all of Europe, they've all been Babylonianized. They've all drank of that wine. Okay, they've all drank that wine, and that has led them to act the way that they now do. Right? And like it says down here a little bit lower, it says, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed, it's like you, heartburn, waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So America waxes rich off of the, off of her delicacies, like transgenderism, all right? Now you can sell all these transgender bullshit to everyone, right? And you've waxed rich through those things, right? And Puerto Rico being a U.S. territory now, all right, they don't really have a choice. If the U.S. says do something, they got to do it, all right? They got to do it. So they say, hey, you got to do this right now. They can't just say, oh, we're not going to do that. They have to do it because they're a U.S. territory. So yeah, man, let's get another one. This is Jeremiah 51 and 7. Get it? All right, Jeremiah 51 and 7 says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Okay, so and really it's really a plague to these people. All right, it's really a plague to these people that this has happened. It's fucked them up in the mind because they're rejected from the Lord. In Puerto Rico, it's the land of the Ephraimites right there, man. It's the land of the Ephraimites, and those are Israelites. All right, Northern Kingdom. So they're over here. They're over there. Over here. They're over here too, but they're over there all fucked up. And man, it's bad, man. It's bad. And fuck you. But yeah, it's bad, man. It's real bad. They got Ephraim fucked up over there. You got, I don't know, I've never seen an Ephraimite transgender or non-binary person, but I've started to see Jake. All right. Not really the women too much. I mean, they don't usually try to pass off as being transgender. A lot of the black women, they just be studs and leave it at that most of the time. But the men, fuck yeah, the men are a little bit different of a story. They go all out, all right, and be ridiculous. And a lot of them even don't go to the extreme as the white, mostly because of the money situation. Because getting that dick chop off surgery is quite expensive. I don't know the exact price, but I know it can't be cheap. So it's an extensive surgery, and they do that jawline surgery as well. So I know, and then they get the fake tits, and I know fake tits are expensive, all right, because I've heard women talk about how expensive they are, right? So I know that's an expensive shit. I don't even know how much it is for a pair of fake tits. Not cheap, all right? So you got to have money to do all that. So Jake usually don't do all that. They might get the fake tits at most, right? And they probably get it from some cheap-ass thing, so they don't even look quite right, all right? But most of them probably just putting grapefruits in a bra and having it at that. But yeah, man, ridiculous. So let's get Jeremiah 10 and 2. Fuck you. So Jeremiah 10 and 2 says, Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. And this is a decree unto Jake. And you're not supposed to learn the way of the heathen, man. And, in the land of Ephraim, all right, over there, Puerto Rico, and a lot of these different places, man, they're just, they got that Babylonian wine, all right, because Esau pushes it over there, all right, then whether it be they're pushing it over there physically, or, they're saying, to their government saying, hey, you gotta, make this known to these people somehow, or whether it's media, all right, Babylonian media, you gotta realize, like, almost all the good shit comes out of America, right, and all the good movies, all right, all the good music, all right, 99% of the books, that in England, all right, the movies are pretty much tied with England, all right, so, and then Canada doesn't really have a whole big production line like that, all right, England really doesn't. Some of the writers, all right, got like some of the writers over there. That's where they're biggest at. But even the movies, there's not. Almost all the big fucking huge blockbuster films are Hollywood, films, right? All the popular music, the biggest hits all over Billboard. Taylor Swift, America, all right. Justin Bieber, Canadian but now American, all right. All these different types of people, man. They're all Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, all right, Beyonce, all right. All these different people, primarily, if they're either some of them might not be from America, but they're in America now, right? Look at Elon Musk, even to prosper. He's from South Africa. Where's he at? America, because that's where you come. Because almost everything, all the good shit comes from America primarily, all right? And when I mean good shit, I mean like media, because all the bad shit comes from America as well. But 99% of all the media, all right, the books, movies, TV shows, video games, all right, sports, right? The biggest sports, save soccer, all right, or football as they call it, all right. But that's a big South America thing. But other than that, that's the only other real huge sport. All the other big sports, basketball and football, NFL and NBA, right? And NHL, right? So that's where it's at, right? And in those, you have Kendrick Lamar saying, "I guess my auntie is a man now," right? You got all these gay shows and gay movies and gay video games. They push this shit hard, right? And you have that over that land, and that's how that, and everybody has, not everybody, but 99% of the nations have access to the internet, unless you're in like China, Russia, or North Korea, and they still have some type of access to the internet. Not North Korea. North Korea is completely shut down. China has slight access to the internet. They call it the Great Firewall of China, but they have slight access. North Korea doesn't really have any access to it all. Russia has it to an extent. All right, they can I think it's locked down on certain things you can look at, but it's pretty much they can communicate with the rest of the world. All right, China can kind of communicate to the rest of the world, not really. And video games, yeah, but a lot of them have to use VPNs and stuff. In North Korea, you ain't getting that out. All right, you ain't getting that out. So that's it, man. And that's how they push that shit. All right, and that's why in North Korea, I bet you don't have no transgenders over there. I bet you don't have none. So they don't. That's why they don't like a whole lot of tourists over there. They don't want that, and I think you got to be specifically selected. They wouldn't let a transgender go over there and view North Korea. And a transgender wouldn't even want to go over to North Korea anyway. I know they wouldn't. So they wouldn't want to go over there anyway. But they wouldn't allow you in. All right, if you got some crazy ass blue hair, they ain't gonna allow you in. All right, have their society fucked up. Have them all. What, the blue hair? I want the blue hair. How do you get to the blue hair? All right, they don't want that, so they don't allow that shit to be shown. It's kind of like that in Russia as well. Like I said, they have a mostly open-ended internet, but there's certain things you just can't do. You can't have dyed hair in Russia. That's not non-natural color. You can dye your hair black or brown or red or something like that. Red is in orange, right? Like ginger color. But you can have bright red hair, like fucking Bozo the Clown. You can't have blue or green or purple hair or pink hair. All right, you damn sure can't have rainbow-colored hair. Okay, any depictions of like gay shit's not really allowed over in Russia. All right, and again, they keep their society on lock like that because they're not trying to have it all fucked up. And you don't really hear no transgender Russians. All right, not a big thing that you hear of a lot. And then, but yeah, and then let's get Exodus 23 and 2 finally. All right. So this is Exodus 23 and 2, and this is a big thing that you need to realize. Just because something's in society or it's promoted within society or accepted within society does not mean it's something that you should do. Okay, this is Exodus 23 and 2. It says, "Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment." Let me get that again. "Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment." So you're not supposed to Don't follow a multitude just because there's, it's like that old saying. Almost all these sayings come from the Bible anyway. They're not verbatim, but they come from biblical concepts. They say, oh, would you jump off of a cliff if your friends did too? That's, thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. Just because your friend did it, you're going to do it? All right? No. That'd be stupid. Okay? That'd be a dumbass thing to do. So just because you see people being transgender, you don't, maybe I should be transgender. No. Why? So you can fit in with the trend? Stupid, man. It's stupid. I want to get another scripture as well. Let's get, how's that scripture go, man? I'm drawing a blank. He that, I'll have to look it up. Let me see. Here it is. That Bible search sucks. Alright, that's the one thing about that app. It's garbage for searching. Proverbs 17:15. He that justifieth the wicked, and he that condemneth the just, even they both are abomination to the Lord. So, there you go. So, again, you shouldn't follow a multitude of evil. And then, if you have a friend, well, no, he's okay. No, you're justifying a wicked act. All right, and then when we say, no, man, the Lord's going to kill him, then what do? All right, you end up condemning us, all right? And we're just in that fact. All right, we're not perfect individuals, but the words we are saying are the Lord's words, so they're just, all right? They're righteous in that sense of, we're saying, hey, man, if you go and chop your rod off, the Lord's going to kill you, man. And they say, no, that's not true. God loves everybody. Well, you just condemned the just, and you were, I can't remember the exact phrase, Slakia, but you just justified, Slakia, you just justified the wicked, right? You just justified the wicked, and the Lord's going to get you too, all right? You're just as much an abomination to that as that person that's actually doing it, even if you're not gay, all right? If you have a gay friend and you say, oh, you're all right, Jamal, love is love, you're just as bad as him, all right? You might as well go and do butt stuff together. It's just as bad. It is literally just as bad. All right? And you're already one step there to being a fucking batiman. All right? You might as well go and do those types of things because it's the same thing. Well, no, I'm better because I don't put anything in my butt. No, you're just as bad as that guy that's doing it because you're saying he's not doing anything wrong. So you're just as bad. All right? You're just as bad. Not kind of the same and bad. No, you are just as bad. All right? You're just as bad as the guy that's actually going and doing it. You're both an abomination. Okay? You're both an abomination to the Lord. You're both going to be killed. Right? Both going to be killed. So that's a lesson. A little bit rambly, Slakia. Lord want was edifying either way. Babylonian wine, third gender in Puerto Rico. So now they can say that they're no gender. It's ridiculous, man. So with that, we're going to close out. Lord want was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKakwadash. I want to say shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Till next one, Lord willing. Shalom.